Hey guys, it's Melissa here, and thank you so much again for joining us for another exciting episode of The Intentional Investor. Today we have an exceptional guest. We have Eva Medilek, who is a high-performing coach of Keston's that we get a one-on-one with in the show. Guys, how was that interview?
It was thebomb.com. We had so much fun on that show, especially when she started talking about how she got her husband involved into real estate. He started out by not liking it at all, but then now he runs their business. And I know it sounds like it has nothing to do with high performance coaching, but I can't wait till y'all hear the story. It's amazing. Amazing. What was your favorite part, Oscar?
Man, this show just melt my brain. This is the show with a feeling. I'm gonna say that this is a show with a feeling, because if you open up your heart and your mind, you will be touched, and you will stop, and maybe you'll cry, but then you'll know the next step that you're gonna take, regardless of where in your journey, and hopefully it's not too late yet. That's all I'm saying.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There were some moments of transformation. Like she was peeling back, like she was dropping golden nuggets left and right, which I want to share this if this is okay. So when Eva first came on the interview, I did not get a chance to brag on her. So I'm going to go through just a few of the things that Eva is that she presented to us. So Eva, just so you guys know, she's a certified high performance coach. She's an international speaker and a certified master trainer and author. She's a graduate of Ascension Leadership Academy and a High Performance Institute. So this gal, she is qualified. She's a recipient of the Evolutionary Business Council's Bronze Membership Award, and she was selected as one of the 500 people featured on the Braid's 500 Global List of 20 as an executive director. She's legit, and she dropped some golden nuggets that all of us have to take away to our families and in our business to help keep us balanced to prevent burnout. Guys, we ready for the show?
Ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And again, if you guys want to subscribe, hit the button below. We would love to have you guys join us for this journey. Here's Eva Medilek in 2. Hey guys, welcome again to another exciting episode of The Intentional Investor. Today we have an exciting guest. We have the high performance coach of Eva Medilek. Eva, welcome to the show.
Hi, Melissa. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
So guys, I am super, super excited for this episode because this is the lady that helped me tremendously. This is my high performance coach. And so she took me, I would say, from where I was, and I want to say it as a baby, but that's not accurate. But she took me from where I was and taught me things that I didn't know I didn't know. And so she really helped advance me to another level. And so I wanted to bring this person on so that y'all could see for yourselves that high performance coaching is real and it's a good thing.
So important. Oscar, what are you most excited about today's show?
I never had a coach, so I'm very excited to learn about this. I've been, self-learning on my own, self-taught, and when I met with Keston, I'm like, man, this guy is kind of like, I have the experience, but this guy can catch up with me like really, really fast. Like I've been doing this for a few years, but this guy's just been doing it for 1 year, and he's getting the result that I got, for 3 years. So I'm very excited. I actually want to know what does it mean by high performance coach? Like, what does it mean?
High performance coach is not high achieving, by the way, because I know when a lot of people hear high performance, they're like, I got to work hard. I got to do so much. But it really is knowing what habits, practices, and principles to incorporate into your life consistently. Consistency is the key so that you can reach that next level in your life without sacrificing your health, your well-being, and your relationships. So high performance is consistency. And there's so many reasons that we underperform in our lives, and learning how to switch that to high performing makes all the difference in reaching that next level of success in your life and business.
Perfect.
I love that.
Awesome.
So you just talked about consistency. Can you drill into that a little bit more? Because we keep hearing in real estate that consistency, persistence, and time the timing that you call someone or that you reach out to that seller, that's everything. So talk about that in relation to being a high performance coach.
Well, I'm going to preface it by saying this, so often our feelings come up. We are tired, we're frustrated, we're overwhelmed, we're too busy, or we just don't feel like it and we want to give up. And so our feelings actually sabotage and get in the way of our success. Not that our feelings are bad or invalid. So please don't hear me say that, but you've got to have habits that you practice consistently in spite of what your feelings are feeling. And so it really is, well, let me put it to you this way. We come into our adulthood with our habits, patterns, beliefs, and behaviors already set from what was modeled for us in our early life experiences. And those patterns were formed, in our childhood as a result of maybe dealing with some childhood anxiety, maybe trying to please our parents, maybe trying to get their attention. And that kind of formulated some of the feelings and habits and patterns that we bring into our adult life that aren't always working for us. Yeah. So learning what habits to consistently practice to bring clarity, energy, courage, productivity, and influence, which are the core tenets of high performance, into your life consistency is the key that high performers bring them to that, continue to grow, continue to go up that mountain, continue to climb to success. There's no real destination, if you will. It's the journey.
I feel I'm already in like a talking with a female Keston. And that's like pretty much what usually he starts with. Like the words that you use, exactly the words that he used.
Man, it's been embedded in me, and I'm seeing the results, and before starting high performance coaching, I had so many bad habits, and it was just changing those habits. And here's what I want to start from, because I want Eva to express who she is, because although she is a high performance coach, she also did real estate and has a lot that she could share. And so most of our listeners are real estate related. So you're not just listening to someone who doesn't identify with what we do. So Eva, could you please take us down that journey as to who you are? Kind of brag on yourself, because you did achieve some really cool things. Let us know who you are.
I started my career as a dental hygienist since I was a teenager, a late teen. I got graduated dental hygiene school and was a practicing dental hygienist. And when the economy crashed in 2008 is when, for the first time in my life, I was scared. And I knew that I didn't want to work for somebody for the rest of my life. She downsized me because she couldn't afford me. And then she bought a brand new Lexus convertible and took her family on this, high-end vacation. Wow. And I'm thinking, why am I doing this? And I have to tell you, this happened in 2010. I had just turned 50. And my husband and I had just been married a year, and we had these dreams. We wanted to spend our summers in Europe. My husband's from Germany. And I'm like, I can't do this working for someone else. And so I was really searching. And then I found Robert Kiyosaki. And I found Rich Dad Education. And at the time, like I said, I was downsized. You may have some people listening to this podcast who have invested in their real estate education journey. And for me back then, that was a $35,000 investment of money I did not have. And it was my first time really leveraging credit to invest in myself, because I knew at that point, first of all, at 50, I didn't have a lot of time left to figure this out. And that opportunity may not come around again. And I just saw it as, this is my opportunity to create passive income strategies. And as you know, with real estate, it doesn't care what you look like, what your gender is, how tall you are, how short you are, how educated you are, how fat you are, how skinny you are. And the same with high performance. It just has to do with, it was an equal playing field, if you will. But at the same time, when I went through the education, I noticed that, I had to put in the time. So before I went to work, I would study and make offers. At lunchtime, I actually sacrificed, going to lunch with the girls or with the team. And at home, when I came home, I would come home and do the cooking and the laundry and the shopping and everything and still study real estate. So I put my all into it because I had this 5-year goal of number one, being a Hall of Fame inductee in Robert Kiyosaki's company for real estate success. And also, I wanted to pay off my daughter's college tuition. I had my goals. And the journey took me to burnout, to be quite honest with you. I had the success. We had our first deal, and that deal got us the money to kind of, leverage the credit cards a little better. And then we were on a roll. We went from flipping houses and contracts to buy and hold and doing larger apartments and rehabs. And, just now we're in the Airbnb space. And so we've started investing all over the country and the world. We also invested in a condo in Berlin. And so all of this happened in the first 4 years. But what also happened was burnout, exhaustion, overwhelm, frustration, to where my mood was affected, my health was affected, and my relationship with my husband was affected because I did not have the support of my spouse when I invested in my education and coaches and mentors on this real estate journey. And so it was a very lonely space to be until the success came in. And so there was that resentment of, and I'm just going to be really honest and transparent. Like, I'm doing all this work, we're achieving success, but you're taking all the credit. Not taking all of the credit, but sharing in it.
Yeah.
And, and I share that with you guys and the audience is because we so often get caught up in what we're doing that we're not taking stock of who we're being as we're building our businesses. And, I remember we had this 10-plex that we bought about 45 minutes north from where we live in California. And I was asking my husband to just share some pictures so I can share them on Facebook. And he went out to walk the dog. Still, 4 days I've been asking for these pictures. And I noticed he left his phone behind. And so I picked up his phone to get the pictures because they were in WhatsApp. And that's when I saw evidence of him having an affair. And in that moment, my heart dropped. And it was a punch in the gut, but at the same time, a 2x4 to the head. And my first thought was, wow, I own the responsibility, 100% of responsibility for my 50% of this relationship. And who am I being? And it really came to light that I was just a miserable human being to be around because I was overworked. And, at that point, it was a come to Jesus moment for me, also for him. And we decided in that moment that we were worth fighting for. And then that we would get help and support from coaches that we had worked with in the past. And to rebuild our relationship, we did a whole real estate metaphor on a relationship. We actually just tore down the other one and built a new one from the foundation up. And fast forward, I don't know how many years later, we're still together. Our business is thriving. We're in the best health of our lives. Wow. And I can't tell you the last time we've had an argument or a disagreement. It was just that shift of the power of coaching to help you see who you are being and transform out of that. So that was a very long Keston explanation of my journey, but I'm old. So there's a number of years involved.
Yeah. Eva, thank you so much for sharing that, because I know that's a pretty treasured part of your story. And so to get vulnerable and be honest with us, I just want to point out one thing to the audience. Did you guys hear what she said? She claimed 100% of the responsibility and participation of that relationship. She didn't point fingers. She didn't say it's your fault. What are you doing? You took responsibility for where you weren't showing up. And I'm sure him too. So
yes, we both did. So it was a shared responsibility. Beyonce has this song out that says, always 50-50 in relationships. And I don't want 50% of you. I want 100% of you in a relationship. And we have to take 100% of responsibility for our 50% in that relationship.
And man, there's so much to unpack here that is amazing. But this is something that high performance coaching has definitely helped me in, especially after hearing your story, because the beauty of what you share and how it has helped me is that prioritizing my relationship, going in it's you caught me when we were just getting started. I hadn't done a deal yet when I started working with you.
Really?
We had not done a deal. I quit my job and all this type of stuff while working with you. And so balancing relationship with my wife, that was very important to me. And that was something that I put on the table when I got into the high performance, because you shared and showed me that I didn't have to do one and sacrifice the other. And it became super important to me because I know a lot of gurus that I believe, based on what I see, that it's not 100. It's very one-sided, and that's not the relationship or the success that I want. I don't care about the millions. My wife comes first. And so to everyone that's hearing that you can do both, I really want you to hear that, because I mean, when you go on your wife's phone or your husband's phone and you see things that you may not want to see, would you be in a position to assume the responsibility and say it was the hustle? Because you say you're hustling for us, but you're neglecting us at the same time. So it's a big contradiction. And man, scheduling and high performance teaches you this balance. So amazing journey. And you didn't even tell them that you were on HGTV, but we could leave that for later.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. I set that goal to be on House Hunters International when we were first realized that, you know, we had this one flip that we did that just gave us so much equity that we decided to buy a place in Berlin. And then I was watching HGTV, Keston. It's funny you should say that. And they were showcasing Berlin. And I looked at that couple and I was like, oh, we could do much better than that. And I reached out to the producers.
Oh, wow.
And we got on the show, and that was just like a fun experience. That was the same year we got inducted into the Rich Dad or Elite Education Hall of Fame, Elite Legacy Hall of Fame. And so it was just a big year for us. But I want to piggyback a little bit on what you said on balance, because most people see balance as scales that are being equal on both sides. And when you look at a scale that's equal on both sides, the number on the scale is 0. It's 0. So as you're working so hard to have balance, you've actually zeroed out your results. You have 0 success, 0 results in your life and business. And it's not that you don't want balance, but balance is not equal. It's unique and personal for each of us. So it's a both and, it's not an either or. So when you look at the scale, your scale is always doing this. But you control the scale so that you're not controlled by the scale. And you have the power to add or subtract to that scale as you see fit to create your own unique balance.
I love that. Eva, can we dig into that a little bit further? You just talked about the scale, right? And being balanced. But there's also something that really resonates with me from what you just said a few minutes ago, talking about burnout. There are a lot of people in real estate that struggle, and they're like on the edge of burnout, where they're like, listen, I don't know if 2022 is my year for real estate. What would you say to those people? Because you went through it. What would you say to them? What would be your advice as a high performance coach?
Well, it's my CPR formula that I share with everyone, to jumpstart your performance outcomes. you've got to be clear. The first C is clear, clarity. You've got to ask yourself what makes you happy and what makes you unhappy. Why don't you have more of what makes you happy in your life? You've got to be clear, because when you are clear, decision making becomes easy. And, ask yourself, does the vision that you have for your life match your reality today? And really answer some powerful questions to create clarity. And once you have that clarity, you got to prioritize, the P. Okay. Studies have shown when you're not clear on your priorities, you're actually up to 30 times more likely to miss out on success. So it's a thing. You've got to be clear and prioritize. How you spend your time, money, energy, and effort is a direct reflection on your priorities and values. And when you're clear on what they are, like I said, decision making becomes easier, and you'll make decisions that support your priorities and your values. And then you've got the R, own the responsibility for creating and setting boundaries in your life, because without boundaries, we don't know safety. So it's our job to create the boundaries, set the boundaries. And here's where people fall down: communicate the boundaries. Most of us set our boundaries and nobody knows the boundaries that we set, but we get pissed off when somebody breaks them. Like, we didn't know.
Yeah. That is so good, because I'm guilty of that, right? I'm guilty of that, where I have my focus time, and then I know that during this time, and I share this with everyone, my focus time is from 2 to 5. That's when I'm calling sellers, don't disturb me.
Mhm.
But I didn't communicate that at home at first. And so then my wife, Jazz, she would come and be like, babe, what do you think about? And I'm like, babe, not right now. Like, talk to me after 5. And so she started to feel neglected. And I didn't, because I didn't communicate my focus time. And then so I had to sit with her and share with her my schedule and show it to her, and get buy-in, because I had to share, like, hey, this is not me saying that you can't speak to me. I just want you to know what I'll be working on during these times. And if you can, you also have your time, right? And so we could save a lot of that conversation for your time, where it's 100% you, no real estate, no anything. And these guys, Melissa and Oscar, when we first started working together, Melissa would always say, dude, you're very particular. Like, there are certain times I can't get you. Like, Keston is not responding.
True story.
Well, that's a beautiful example of creating and setting boundaries and communicating them. And, and I love what you shared, Keston, because I had to do that in my own life too. The door would be closed to my office and there'd be a knock, knock, knock. And you feel the frustration, like, I'm working, I'm with a client, this is private time, and all of that. And then I realized, oh, he doesn't know. So, we just sat down at dinner. Timing is important too. We sat down at dinner and I just said, you know what? I'll leave the door open when it's okay for you to come in and out, because he's running the real estate business now. By the way, I've totally given up control. Ooh, that's a big deal for me, if anybody knows me. And, but all of the real estate files and things were in here, and he would just kind of come in. And I said, but when the door is closed, just know that I'm with a client, or I'm on an important Zoom. And, if it's really important, just text me and I'll see if I could step away and give you what you need. And so once we created those clear boundaries, the resentment and the frustration, poof, gone.
So good. People think that I come from a hocus pocus type of thing, because I always share, or I try to share these tips, but I, one, don't say it articulated as beautifully as you do. And two, when you just don't know, it seems like, dude, like I'm a robot, because I used to believe like I don't need to write things down. I don't need to do all of this stuff. but I got to a point where I wasn't getting past where I was. And if I needed to get past where I was, I needed to do things differently. And I accepted that. 2020 was the year for me where I took my ego and everything that I said that I knew, and I threw it to the side, and I wanted people in power that had success to just pour into me, and I was just going to listen. I just wanted to listen and follow action, regardless of what I thought I knew, and put it to the side. So you said something. I want people to catch this because we kind of glossed over this, and I want to highlight this so much. If you guys are not following, Eva said earlier that her husband was not involved in real estate. There's so many people who has this, how did you get your wife to be involved in real estate? My wife hates real estate. How did you guys work together? And it's a struggle. Now, things happened, but now they're on the same page. And now he is actually running the real estate company. So how do you go? What would you say is the hot sauce that you get your spouse from not liking real estate, resenting you for doing what you're doing, to now running the empire that you guys have?
Trust was a big part of it. You know, I am a high achieving, creative visionary, and classic lone wolfer. If I want something done right, I have to do it myself. And, you know, the real estate was something, yes, it was mine. It was something that I built from the beginning, but I built it for us and our family. And first of all, proving how it can be successful, actually doing the work. I saw so many real estate investors invest in the education and coaches and mentors and not do anything with the knowledge because their feelings got in the way. It was too hard. They don't have the time. They didn't know how to incorporate high performance habits. And I found that when I was coaching real estate. I was a coach and mentor for real estate too. And so that's when I knew that I needed to bring my own magic sauce, juju, into the real estate space to help clients really take that knowledge into committed action to create the success. Because I know it's possible. But, you know, when our marriage was in trouble and we hit that breakdown that, you know, had us make the choice to attempt to break through it instead of breaking up from it. One of the things that I had to give up was controlling everything, that controlling energy, and trust him. And, you know, I look back at who I was then, and it just really makes me cry, like, God, I would have probably looked for comfort elsewhere from me too, right, if I were in that relationship. And I started by, you know, slowly giving him more and more responsibility in the company. I mean, you know, when the economy crashed, a lot of businesses suffered, and my husband was a freelance photographer, and people weren't spending money on that. And plus the iPhones are all amazing. People were taking their own photos of their real estate. He was an architectural and interior design photographer. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, it was me trusting him to go on the same journey that I had been on and make the mistakes himself without making him feel bad for making those mistakes. So I stayed on the sidelines as a mentor, a coach, and advisor as he was slowly taking over the business, and I was building my coaching business. So for me, it was the trust and the open, honest communication about what we're doing, but also, you know, not taking that $35,000 investment and not doing anything with it. I owed it to my family to build a successful business. Mm-hmm. And so when you make commitments and then you let them go because it's too hard, I don't feel like it, I changed my mind. You know how the feelings get in the way, like nobody's going to do business with me because I'm short, fat, tall, skinny, whatever, you know, whatever color you are. And you just let that go and you be persistent. And I built a successful business. It was easy for him to be on board once the business became successful. What was harder for me to let go of the resentment for him waiting for the business to be successful to come on
Yeah,
board.
Mhm.
I'm sure.
That was tough.
I'm sure. Man,
Mhm.
there is so much of your story to unpack. And so, what I love about this crew, including you, Eva, number one, you've been so honest and transparent, which has been amazing. Keston's been talking you up, and we are
Mhm.
not disappointed.
Mhm.
But every single person here thinks about things differently. So, I want to dig into the mind of Oscar because there's things that I'm pulling out of this interview, there's things that Keston is. Oscar, like, what are a couple of things that Eva has said so far that you want to make sure that the listeners hear?
Man, this show messed up with my mind and heart.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
usually the technical guy, and I'm like,
Please.
I always know answers. Like Keston's always the why guy, right? Or before everything starts, I'm always like the who and the how. So I'm like always analysis and breaking things down and everything. But I mean, for me, right? For me, it questioned what I'm doing, right? It questions, and I know Keston's talked about this before, right? And I feel like I'm on a journey where everything's going good, but it also questions like if where I'm going is correct, right? If where I'm going with my family is correct, right? Even though the trajectory, you can kind of see the trajectory, but are we going? Are we really going together? Right? That's the question. That's what I got. Right? Are we really going together? And that's a question that we really need to answer ourselves now. Right? Even though like everything is groovy and everything is fine and like can I retire tomorrow? Yes. Can I, my wife's still working and can she retire tomorrow? Yes. But is that going to make us happy? Are we going to start having problems after that? Is the reason that we are she's in a different job and I'm in this, is that because that we can't do this together? Like this show messes up with my mind. But it's in a good way, right?
You
In a
know,
good way to pause this and to like tell everyone that, hey, this is important stuff. This is very, very important, like especially if you want to do this full time. This is a journey, right? Like I've been doing it for 6 years, and I thought about that, but it's never been the priority, right? What we talked about right now, it's never been a priority for me, right? It's always the hustle and always the grind and always that assets and the quote unquote goal that we think is the goal that we want.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Oscar, I feel like we could end the show right here, and I'll feel like mission accomplished
Yeah.
because this is something that, again, I try to communicate maybe in the way that we communicate. It's not received in a way that makes sense because I'm a man and we talk like men, and
Mhm.
but even internally to everyone, and me, you, Melissa, I would always try to get us to put family first and plan and to be clear. Clarity is something that I try to drill home, and man, can I be honest? It's been a struggle with you both. Like, guys,
Mhm.
you gotta put this down, and like, come on, try to have these meetings, and it's like, oh my god, I could lose some dreads, right? Like just trying to get this clarity session going between us.
I'm going to interject right here for Melissa and Oscar. The first conversation I had with Keston, that was hard too. So y'all are not alone. Don't let
Mhm.
him make you feel
Yes.
bad, because here's what I say about a lot of people, and I'm very similar to Keston, so I'm talking about myself too. Sometimes we'd rather be right than get it right.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's
When you're a
deep.
strong personality, you're A-type, you're like, I know, I've read books, I've done the work, I know, I know, I know. But when you start asking questions in coaching that peel back the layers,
Mhm.
there's a whole new level of performance and purpose and commitment and clarity, like Keston was saying, that gets opened up to you. And it's like, wow. When I first did leadership coaching, even before I was trained by Brendan Burchard, who trained me in high performance coaching, I love Brendan, by the way. It was so funny. I don't know if you can see there. I have his book, High Performance Habits.
Yeah.
And the last call I was on with him, he's like, "What's that book next to them?" I'm like, "Oh, that's my book, The Intimacy of Race." And he gave my book such a huge shout out. It was like he's just such an awesome individual. But my point in sharing that is, coaching is powerful. And if you look at all of the leaders of Fortune 500 companies and the most successful people, they are not doing this alone. They have coaches that show them where they're stopping themselves, where their blind spots are, where they can be better and do better. And it starts with the be so that they can have better. It's a be, do, have. And so it's really, really powerful for what you want to create in your life and business, so that when you retire, is your wife, your husband, your dog, your children still going to want to be with you? I mean, I'm working with clients now that have this same struggle. Well, I'm working hard for my family. That's what I was like. I'm doing it all for you. And when I came close to losing it all, like, I'm doing it all and I'm going to be alone. Like, oh my God. We just bought this place in Berlin. I don't speak German that well. Like all of it, And so we really had to get clear on what our priorities were and stay present. That's the big thing. Don't bring up the past. Don't worry about the future. Stay in present creation. And that was really powerful. So I'm glad I had this conversation with you guys. I hope it helped. And anyone who wants to take it further can, reach out to me on talkwitheva.com. It's very simple. I'm offering this to your audience if they just really want to see how high performance can work in their lives. And they're, like I like to say, you've heard ready, willing, and able. We know you're ready, you're able, but are you really willing to do what it takes?
Yeah. And Eva, you just brought something up or made me think about something. What would be the right person to reach out to you? Because there's some people that's not a good fit for what you are to where you could take someone. What would you say are some of the characteristics of someone who is ready that you would work with?
Somebody who's willing to do what it takes. I work best with busy professionals who are struggling to, quote unquote, and I hate using this word balance, but find that balance. And what happens is success is causing them to sacrifice their health, well-being, and relationships. The name of my program is Success Without Sacrifice. How can you have it all without doing it all? We've been brought up thinking that in order to have it all, that we have to be and do it all too. And that's not the case. And so I would say for people who are tired of feeling burnt out, stressed out, and overwhelmed, for feeling that they don't have time to do everything. Did you ever hear this quote from this bumper sticker? God put me on earth to accomplish a certain number of things. And right now I am so far behind that I will never die. Most of us are walking through life like that.
True.
Your to-do list is never getting done. And you always feel that you're just in, like Oscar said so eloquently, the hustle and grind. What if you can have a both and you don't have to choose, And so I would say, busy professionals, not necessarily entrepreneurs, but people who are in not only leadership positions, but just find themselves struggling to have their own unique balance so that they can have it all without having to be it all and do it all too.
Yeah. Eva, thank you for sharing that. Can you talk about your coaching process? Meaning if someone really is listening and they want to sign up today or tomorrow, get a hold of you, how long can they expect that relationship to last? How long does the program last? Can you dig into that a little bit more?
Oh, I work with people now for a full 12 months.
Wow.
I had been doing 6 months, but you know what? Transformation is a process and it's a journey. And right now I am working with people privately, one-on-one, face-to-face on Zoom, for 12 months. And I'm getting the best results from my clients. This process rates a 9.7 satisfaction out of 10. than all the other coaching programs out there, which are usually around 7 or 8 in people getting the results from it. And, Keston and I worked together in a group program that lasted about 3 months. And you can even see how he's taken it to heart and created a massive transformation in his life and business because of it. So imagine what you could create in a year.
So
Oscar is buying
Yes.
today.
So
I was going to ask about a group program. Can you dig into that? What does that look like? And are you still doing those?
I have not launched a group program because here's the thing with group, and what I found that there's people in group that hide, don't contribute, and don't do the work. And because this work is such at a high level, hiding is not going to give you the results that you want. And, I have a heart for people who make an investment and really make that investment work for them, like I did with real estate. That was a huge investment for me. Coaches that I've worked with privately have really, it's such an individualized work that although people like Keston, because he's not only ready and able, but he's willing to do what needs to be done. I find that sometimes in this type of coaching, not all, but this type of coaching to create a high performance individual out of you, I get better results one-on-one.
I believe that. And I want to brag on you real quick too. So there's a little book behind you. Can we talk about that briefly? And I'm just going to read a little snippet of this bio. So you're the author of The Intimacy of Race, a book that supports allies of minoritized communities by recognizing racial biases. And you're the founder of Intimacy of Race at Facebook community for resources to support people of color. Can you please dig into that? That's amazing.
Well, when George Floyd's murder happened last May, it was a turning point for a lot of people of color. And I really sat in grief and trauma, ancestral trauma for a few days. And I just sat and prayed and meditated on what I could do to make a difference. And it started with me gathering together powerful female leaders to hold a live forum for people of privilege, white people, white presenting people, to come and listen to what the Black community was experiencing instead of reacting, responding, telling us how we should and should act and do and behave and all of that, bringing us from Black Lives Matter to All Lives Matter. And so instead of complaining and being frustrated with what I was seeing on social media and the cancel culture, I decided to do something about it. And so I created this forum, and the book is really representative of what we discussed in that forum. It really is putting that forum into a book form so it gets into more hands. And then I created a Facebook group called The Intimacy of Race, where I regularly share racial injustice history, accomplishments of Black and Brown and Indigenous folks through history and their accomplishments, inventions, and things that are not talked about in school. So it's a place of resource, but also a place to that you're not going to be judged by getting it wrong. You're just going to be judged by wanting to get it right.
Yeah, you're educating. You're trying to change that paradigm into the future.
I want to just be clear that it's really not the education, but it's really raising a level of awareness and sharing resources so that you can further dive into your education. I'm not qualified as an educator. So I want to be really, specific and just say that I share resources as I find them, and the members of the group share resources as they find them. And we're helping each other become more aware and learn more of true history that's not taught in schools.
Amazing. Thanks for clarifying. That's great.
Of course.
Yeah.
I know I'm
sold.
I think Keston's talking. We're all sold. Now, we always kind of like to wrap the show with this end segment and say, Eva, if there is one thing that you want to stick out to our listeners today, and our listeners are motivated, inspired, folks that are trying to be intentional in real estate investing and get that journey started to
Mm.
change the paradigm and that shift of the future. What is, from a high performance coach, what would you say to the audience?
I would say consistency, and my message is don't let your feelings sabotage your success. There's always, every time I got discouraged in my real estate journey, I always felt like giving up. And that's when I knew I needed to do more self-care. Dun, dun, dun. You hear that? So
Yep.
that I can pick myself up, dust
Amen.
myself off, and start all over again.
Yeah, consistent discipline. I love it. And emotions is the devil, because it just makes you do. You wake up with a different emotion every day, and so that's one of the things we talk about a whole lot, with watching your emotions and guarding your emotions, especially when you wake up in the morning, not jumping on your cell phone, and I talk a lot about not taking your phone into the bathroom with you and all this type of stuff, because you want to guard your space in the morning. You want to be able to dictate the emotions that you want for yourself versus being controlled by whatever you see on your device. And so I love that answer. And Eva, thank
I
you
love
so
what you're saying too. And I just want to preface it by a morning routine. If you can establish, if there's one thing that I want to leave you that you can do, establish a morning routine, because a morning routine wipes out 20% of stress in your day and sets you up to win the day. It sets the intention and the purpose and preparedness for the day. So get a morning routine. Thank you, Keston, for inspiring that.
No, for sure. And I specifically want you to share one thing that you did for me that was that helped me change everything. And man, there were a few things. Like on our first interview call, you had me do a few things, but I want you to pick one, whichever one you feel.
What do you do?
We did the midday break. And so that midday meditation practice you taught me, and you explained it like the car at a racetrack.
Oh, the pit stops.
The pit
Ah,
stop.
yes.
That's
All right, I
one.
can do this in 1 minute.
That's one. The other one was time, not even time blocking, attention blocking, like being able to know when I was going to respond to texts and that type of stuff. So it was those two things that I got on my first interview, like see if we're a good fit. And I was like, we're doing this. This is amazing. Like, I have to do this. And it helped me so much. So you pick one of those and dive into it.
I'm going to pick a pit stop because, we've all seen NASCAR or the Indy 500, and those cars are racing around the track at full speed, trying to win the race without crashing and burning. And I remember thinking, every time the lead car would get off for a pit stop, like, don't stop now. You're going to fall behind and lose the race. But here's the thing that Keston was referring to. Taking a pit stop is necessary to continue to race at high performance without breaking down. Because, most of us are racing nonstop, doing everything we can to advance our careers, because we're afraid that if we stop, we're going to fall behind and lose the race. But when you don't stop, your health breaks down, your mood breaks down, and your relationships are in breakdown too. And so what I talked to Keston about was, how can you create pit stops throughout your day to re-energize yourself? Because your energy and your relationships matter more than anything else. And real estate is a relationship game. It is all about relationships. So taking those strategic pit stops in your day to move, to drink water. Me, I chase the dog. So that's like both, playing with her and chasing the dog, and how that energizes you to keep going, because you don't want your family getting your leftovers at the end of the day, guys.
That's
Right,
powerful.
so it's really good.
That changed my life. I still do it. I have pit stops throughout my day. My main one is at 1:00. And man, it totally changed my life and gave me the energy to keep going, almost like a reset, which I'm sure a lot of people could relate. Getting home from work and your partner is coming and you got to go and give them time, but you're tired and it's like, I had a long day at work. Implementing the pit stop gives you the energy to start over when you go home. It was just simply amazing. And that one thing changed everything for me. And so if it's anything you guys want to implement today, is implementing pit stops.
I love that. And I just need to be so transparent. So in the last 24 hours, I got home last night and Oscar called when I'm exhausted, had been in the car for 2 hours. The baby's crying. I'm coming through the door. Ben's like, is dinner? Like, what are we doing? And he's talking about this amazing deal. And Ben can tell that I'm in this conversation. I'm struggling. And I knew in my heart, I'm like, my emotions are taking the best of me right now because I'm not clear. I'm not, my mind is focused on the kids. It's on dinner, on my husband, because they're my priorities, right? Once you get home, it's so hard to draw boundaries and it's so hard to think straight when maybe it's a male female thing, but it's just like my motherly instinct kicks in as soon as you go through the door. So I think feelings are like, in a way, from the devil, because like you need to make sure that you're guarding, like, okay, this is logic. This deal makes sense. I have like zero energy to compartmentalize and think about all this stuff right now.
Melissa, I'm going to give you one tip. Before you walk in the door, you're going to do a transition to where you're leaving work, stress, deals outside of the door, and you're coming in to feeling fully present as a partner, a spouse, a mom, whatever it is you're walking into, and really do a transition exercise. It may be a meditation. It may be something that you say, a ritual. You know, my coach, Brendan Burchard, has a thing where he taps the door and creates that intention. Create an intention for who you want to be when you transition from one role to the other. And that's going to be magic in your life. And the boundary is, once you're in that role, we don't care about deals or answering the phone. Don't answer the phone. Don't. Stop it.
I love that so much. And we just did this exercise together, us three. And we said, what are the 3 words that we're going to identify like with our life? And for me, it was inspiration. Like, I want to inspire, I want to be intentional, and I want to be humble. None of those 3 things were present. And you think about that. And it's like, you have to tell yourself those things every single day, ritualistically.
Yeah.
That's great advice. Thank you. I needed that.
Of course.
Guys, let's take this home. I think we're at that place. The listeners, viewers have a lot to think about. They have resources to reach out to Eva. And if you're on YouTube, you can see on the banner below. And I'll just have Melissa say this because I always screw up Eva's last name. So I'll just pass the ball on this.
Where can our guests and listeners?
That's why I make it easy for people to find me. Go to talkwitheva.com. That's all you have to do is talkwitheva.com. If you're serious now, if you're a tire kicker and a looky-loo, you know, come back when you're really willing to make the changes, and then we'll see if we're fit.
Yep.
Then we'll see if we're fit, because not everybody's a fit, right?
Yep. Guys, don't waste Eva's time. You heard what she's looking for. Busy professionals that are ready and willing. So go to talkwitheva.com. Eva Medelik, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you here today. Thank you so much on behalf of the Intentional Investor. We look forward to all of the clients and the differences that you're going to be making in others' lives, including Keston's.
Oh, thank you for having me, guys. It's been great.
I'll be calling or filling out whatever that form is.
Eva, it's been a pleasure. Guys, do you guys want to make any comments?
No, I mean, Eva has been a life changer. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm sharing you, my secret sauce, with the world. And so now you guys all have access. So thank you for being here. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for the invitation.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
And if you guys like what you hear, don't forget, make sure you guys subscribe below. We would love to have you guys continue to listen to The Intentional Investor. Until next time, this is our show. See you soon.
Peace.
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 Bye.
Hey guys, it's Melissa here from the Intentional Investor Show. If you like what you hear and if you want to dig deeper into your own real estate journey, hit the subscribe button below. We would love for you to join us. Thank you so much. Until next time.